So Curletta now behind in the count. Wind and the delivery home. Curletta flies it down the right side. Perez back towards the bullpen, runs out of room, and knocks the sprinkler, and it goes airborne. There's water flying in the air from the sprinkler. It's drenching the pitchers in the bullpen. What in the world did he kick? He kicked something over towards the bullpen, and the water is flying up in the air from the sprinkler. A grounds crew member comes sprinting in from the stands. They're covering the bullpen mound. Kids are getting drenched. One of their assistant groundskeepers is coming running in as a geyser has erupted from the bullpen. How in the world did that happen? And I mean, because of where it happened right where he was running towards. I think it's because he kicked something. And now the grounds crew had, remember, examined the situation and now is running back towards the third base side. What is he trying to get? The water is spewing up into the air and is drenching the bullpen mound. They put the tarp on the mound. Now a grounds crew guy is reaching over, trying to reach in to turn something off. And he just got sprayed in the face when he was doing so. The water is coming out of that fountain at a really rapid pace. And now it has stopped. I think somebody found the switch somewhere. I think that's what that guy was doing that had come in to examine the situation. I think he had to go running over to turn it off somewhere else. And I think we're going to have to go to a delay because the conditions right now at the field are not going to allow us to continue. There's a big puddle, and I think they're going to have to clean that up before the teams can agree to continue playing. That is unbelievable. I'd like to see maybe a replay. And did he? I think he kicked something as he was going into foul territory that caused water to just start spewing into the air. That's unbelievable. Now, I think we've all seen situations before in a baseball game where all of a sudden the sprinklers go off. I know it's happened at Dow Diamond. I've seen it happen at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium before, where the sprinklers are on an automatic timer and just all of a sudden go off. But this is something that the water just started going up into the air, I think because it was triggered by Perez going after that ball in foul territory. And now, even though the water is no longer looking like a geyser spewing into the air, there is still water coming out down the right field line, and it's not spewing into the air, but there is still a water leak down the right field line. Right now there's a staff member who is holding the water from spewing out. And he is kneeled over there at that spigot, and he's holding it and stopping it from leaking. So eventually they're going to have to get some sort of cap to stop that water. Either that or turn off the water supply. But they can only turn off the water supply to that particular area. You don't want to shut it off in the entire ballpark and back up toilets and other running water. And so they're also raking that trouble spot in right field. It's a field that drains well. It's a very good field. In fact, this has been the Midwest League Field of the Year for 4 straight years. Maybe this incident will end that streak, because it's not just how pretty the field looks and how well it plays. Other things such as this go into it. This is kind of comical, let's face it. This is not something that is Fort Wayne's fault, and it's not something that is that they're to blame for, but it's comical, and maybe it's something that could be a negative factor in them winning Midwest League Grounds Crew of the Year for 5 straight years. And speaking of which, their head groundskeeper is Keith Winter. He was here earlier today. He was the one on the field watering the field, but I have not seen him through this incident, so he may have had the game itself off. And it's been an assistant groundskeeper that has been monitoring kind of this unfortunate situation. Not sure where. Well, there's Keith right there. He hasn't been on the field handling this situation. I think he's just now being informed of it because he just ran into his general manager. And so there's the 4-time groundskeeper of the year, Keith Winter, coming onto the field and assessing the situation. He's got some of his minions down the line trying to dry off that area that got drenched in right field. And Keith Winter is on the phone right now with the umpires. He's talking on his cell phone, it appears, and working with the umpires. Remember I mentioned about 3 or 4 minutes ago there's a young man who is part of the staff here who is kneeling over at that trouble spot where the water was spewing out. And he's still doing that. He's still kneeling over there. And he's basically has his thumb or his hand in that hole, and he is the only thing right now that is only person or thing that's preventing water from shooting out again from that. Now they got it to where the pressure was down, where it wasn't just spewing as it was 10 feet high. And they got it to where it was just kind of trickling out. But if he moves right now, then that trickle is going to continue, and it's going to continue to water that area on the right side. Now, meanwhile, Keith Winter, the head groundskeeper, is taking a look at a spigot that is behind home plate, and they're letting water out of that spigot. Now, I'm not sure why that. They're either looking at that maybe as, well, this is how this one works. Let's see if we can make that one down the right field line work the way that the one is working behind the plate. Or if they're trying to drain out some of the water. Yeah, it looks like they borrowed a piece of equipment from that sprinkler head that's behind home plate. Now he's going to behind the mound to a sprinkler head there. And he's going to turn that one on. Meanwhile, the grounds crew's done a nice job of drying that area down the right field line, but still kind of some wet conditions. It just got absolutely drenched. I've never been to Old Faithful, but I would imagine it looks an awful lot like that sprinkler looked when Perez tripped it down the line. It was spewing 20 feet plus up into the air. As Crash Davis said in Bull Durham, we've got ourselves a natural disaster. Kids don't seem to mind. They've got the YMCA going on right now. Before they had What Would the Fox Say? It's not only entertaining but also educational for the youngsters. And in the meantime, nothing has really changed from the perspective of things going on here at the field. Well, let's take a pitching change break. I think I've done a pretty good job of describing what's going on here, but at this point there's nothing really new to report. I could tell some jokes for a little while, and we might resort to that in just a little bit. But in the meantime, let's take a pitching change break. And even though it's not really a pitching change, but we'll take a pitching change break anyhow. We're in the top half of the fifth inning. Loons leading Fort Wayne 5-1. And back in a moment on ESPN 100.9 FM.